Welcome to Magnet Marketers, our weekly live show where we break down the head, heart, and hand approach to building sustainable growth in your business. During each episode, we share actual client marketing best practice examples, strategies, and tactics that will help you generate real results. Our belief? A magnet always works better than being a bullhorn to attract, retain, and build your brand. Ready to dive into this week's Relationship Marketing Training Tuesday? Well, let's get started. Here's your host, Mike Gingerich and Jessika Phillips. All right. Hello, and welcome to this week of Training Tuesday Live. We're Magnet Marketers. Our goal is always to help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. And today I'm so excited because not only do we have an amazing guest with us, but we'll introduce her in just a moment, the beautiful and orange-wearing glasses beauty that she is. Before we introduce her and all of her wisdom, a quick hello. If we've not met before, my name is Jessika Phillips with Now Marketing Group and the Relationship Marketing System. And my personal mission is to help you love more, give more, and be more through the art of authentic relating. And my awesome co-host, he's Mike Gingerich. He is the president of web development and software firm Digital Hill Multimedia, published author 5 times over, triathlete, runner, biker, and leading business blogger at MikeGingerich.com. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, doing well. And so looking forward to hearing from our guest again. It's a repeat guest, so we always love it when we get to bring someone back again and more goodies to talk about and share. So I'm doing well, but I guess just for those who don't know, let me introduce our guest here today with us. So Dorien Morin-van Dam is with us today. She is the community manager, social media strategist, international keynote speaker, certified agile marketer, and she has blogging as a creative outlet. How about that? Not just for content marketing, but it's a creative outlet. She's worked in the marketing industry over 10 years. Loves, and this is near and dear to me, running as well, hiking and skiing in the wonderful state of Vermont, where she used to do all 3 of those in tremendous ways. You'll recognize her on stage and online by her always present orange glasses. Do you see those there? A nod to her Dutch heritage, where she just returned from a visit again. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. It's an honor to come back a second time to this wonderful show. And I'm excited to share a little bit more about agile marketing, which is something that I found about 2 years ago, and I'm just super excited about. So I'm ready to share.
I want to know from anyone that's watching, have you heard of agile marketing too? And why you should adopt an agile marketing mindset into your business? I want to know in the comments, because we're going to be diving into this today. And I just had a brief time to chat ahead of time before we went live on just, this it's more than a buzzword, right? Like, what is it? How do we adopt it, and why it's so important today? So definitely let us know if you've heard of it before or what your thoughts are, or if you have questions on it too as we get going. And Mike, I'm going to let you kick it off with the first question.
Yeah, Dorien, why don't you just really kind of get us started with the definition there. What is an agile marketing mindset? Let's kind of dive into it.
All right. So an agile marketing mindset is really having the mindset that it's really about the team, right? And it's about getting the work done, not getting you having it done, but having the teamwork. And by, agile came from the software industry, where it's all about iterations, right? You make small changes and get big results. And I got introduced to Agile through one of my clients who's an Agile coach. And I saw her apply it to leadership, development, coaching. And one day she sent me an article about Agile marketing. And she's like, check it out. I've been a marketer for 10 years. And this is the first thing that I was like, I've got to take this course. I've got to take certification. I want to know more. This was something that as a freelancer, solopreneur, I was super excited about.
Yeah.
What I found is that a lot of agile marketing teams are part of larger corporations, so they're part of larger teams. Usually the whole company goes through agile training. There's project managers. And so it's then natural to then apply these principles that
Right.
you learn to marketing as well as operations, HR, all of those other places. So
Okay.
as somebody in social media, I was super interested to find out how can I apply that agile mindset to working as a team of one, right? So
Okay.
that's really what I set out to do. And what I found is you can. So the mindset is that you are going to break everything you have to do in small, manageable pieces and figure out how it works and where you can improve. And doing that, I got certified right before the start of the pandemic. And then I kind of learned the theory, but wasn't sure how to apply it. So it took me a couple of months. In that first year, I was able to free up 12 hours a week.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
By having an agile mindset and by doing what is called a daily stand-up. And that's really where, this came in, right? So every day, and I sit down when I do my stand-up. Sometimes I stand up, but usually I sit down. But I go through and I say, what do I want to accomplish today? What did I do yesterday? What do I want to do today? And I'm also going to look at what didn't work, right? So you answer those 3 questions every day. And so if there's something that's blocking you, which is really in Agile when you're working as a team, if something is blocking you, say you're supposed to write this blog post, but it's now been 2 days, and each day at this stand-up meeting, you're like, you still haven't done it. There's a block there. So you're going to be honest, and your teammate might say, hey, let me help you, or let me look at your blog, or let me help you. So if you do have a team, by having this daily stand up with your team and going through these 3 questions, you can start helping each other. And so even by a team of 1 every day, by being honest with myself, because, don't we all have a to-do list with things on there? And we know we're supposed to eat that frog in the morning, but we really don't want to, and we push it aside, right? Don't we have that? So by doing this every day, I attack the things I need to do. I'm honest with myself. I am very much task oriented, doing the little task, building SOPs, right? Building really, these, knowing what needs to get done to do what, being able to say to the client, like, this is what the project's worth. I know it because I've done it. I know exactly how long each piece takes. So all of those pieces. So it's operational, it's marketing, it's all of those pieces together. And the agile mindset comes in that you're realizing that by being flexible and being able to think about a project in a different way is really important and makes it move forward. Because worst thing is when it gets stuck. You want to improve upon everything, and you want to move it forward.
yes.
I'm so glad that you mentioned SOP. So for anybody that's not familiar with that term, standard operating process, because that's kind of where it starts, I feel. And I'm so glad. I love that you mentioned every different component that, you can use this mindset in, but it really does, in my opinion, start at that core, right? Because if you're looking to scale, and as you said, like find the blocks, remove the friction. And when we started doing this, like now, we literally wrote out in a Google Doc. It wasn't anything super fancy, right? So if you don't have a standard operating process, it was literally writing out from the start of when we find a contact, or somebody comes and reaches out to us to work with us, to every step of the process, like what happens along the way. And we looked at where can we remove friction or add delight, and who kind of touches those pieces, right? And that put into then a process. So when you're bringing somebody new on, or even when you have your team kind of get into this fluid motion, I feel everybody knows what they're doing. And what's a beautiful thing for like a business owner or a manager or what have you, is that now you don't have to be part of every piece of the process, right? Everybody knows what they're doing. They have their process and their projects, if you will. But also you can see where can we remove, like you said, some of those blocks. Like for me, it was email. So I incorporated a tool to help me filter email out, right? And found tools for that. And it was, automations that we could add in of things that were requiring me before, like to send an email out for a discovery questionnaire to be filled out. Now it's like, those processes were automated. And when you take time to do that, I love getting my email from SaneBox is the email tool that I use. And just that email, it sends me each week, here's how much time you saved. And it's always like 10 hours, 11 hours a week.
It's mind blowing.
An email, right? Like, and just think of how many, areas that you can save. And people are willing to chip in, like you said, work with teams where it's not like my skill set maybe to finish a blog because I'm too ADD on something, but somebody else is willing to jump in.
That's really where the mindset comes in. It's not about who's right, but about what's right. And I think that is really, it's all about the teamwork. It's getting it done. It doesn't matter if you have a skill to come in to finish the project, then do it. I will step aside. You finish it. We celebrate it together and we tick it off the box and we take the next piece of, whatever needs to get done. So yeah, we have a product owner, somebody who kind of owns the, that project or that product. But everybody on the team has different skills, and we're going to celebrate each skill and really have that come to the level. So it's not about, oh, well, I need to do that. I'm the blog editor. If somebody else comes in and says, hey, I'm familiar with this interview that you just did, I'd be happy to write that for you because I know you're really busy and you're working on the video editing piece. That's fantastic. So that's the Agile mindset. That's really when you have a team, that's going to make the difference.
Yeah. How have you seen this, because you say you do this as a team of one, so I'm sure you're working with other companies and in helping introduce this concept into other brands. Like, how have you seen this in practice? Teams get like their response to it, I guess, when they are picking it up. How do you see they introduce it, and what's the response?
Yeah, so I have to say I'm a team of one, but I do have a couple of people. I am on other people's teams, and I have one assistant. So we do some of this. We do have weekly meetings, so I'm able to practice a little bit of that. Taking this to, say, a client of mine who needs a better process of, content approval. Having an agile process in place is really great. So for example, instead of having one person do all the images and then another person write all the text and then you put it all together and put it in front of them, you've now wasted a bunch of time, right? Because now, that's not agile. So instead, put the concept in front of them during a meeting. While you have the meeting or right after, you put an image together and you say, is this the image? Which way do you want to go? You create that and then work together on some of the text. You can have a working document. There's tools out there, a tool like Plannable. It's really great for an agile team where you can put images up there and ideas. And then the team, including a client, a CEO, or anybody on the marketing can go in and add different text to it and say, I think this would look great or this would look great. And so you're working on it together. And again, nobody's going to be right over the other. You just want that content to be right. And so using a tool like that, you're going to save a lot of time instead of somebody mocking something up with thinking that they know what the client might want or thinking you're going to go this is the idea. You're way too far in the process and then you're repeating yourself. Instead of little increments and making changes, it's going to go a lot faster and you're not going to waste as much time. There's more of a check-in system. That's really where I've seen it make a huge difference in implementation, where, it's those small iterative touches, maybe, every other day and say, what about this? Maybe sending an email. Can you look at this real quick? Am I going in the right direction? I'm creating these images based on what you said. I've got 3 mock-ups, pick one, and I'll go with that direction instead of making this whole big thing. And then it's all wrong. And you spend all this time.
Too far. Yeah.
Too far. And that's what happens all the time. So I think that in content creation, it's just beautiful when it works.
Collaboration, because people have ownership then of it too, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow you to go down too far, one person too far down a trail where they have to then really go back when that's not the path.
Right. And think about the time and the money and human resources that is wasted when that happens. And it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So by
Amen.
adopting this agile process and getting everybody on board and getting everybody have these checks and balances and having this daily check-in and having look at each other's work and really working together on pieces of content, it really speeds up that process. And it really delivers a great product, a great piece of content to a very happy customer.
When
So yeah,
It's
go ahead.
like what you were saying, like when you get more ideas in there too. And I've even found like some clients where I maybe don't like speak the same language really. You know what I mean? Like where they're trying to express their ideas and I'm thinking one thing, but you bring another person in and it just jives, right? So yeah, I could definitely see so much time saved. And like we said, like just not going down the rabbit hole of just process of, like more of manufacturing kind of, process. It becomes more of a creation that everybody is collaborative on that you can get more creative and more engaged with.
Right. And it's interesting because I come from a freelance background where, as a social media manager, I have done a lot of the different pieces, right? I do create the content. I do write blogs for my clients. I do a lot of the stuff by myself. But when I work with larger teams, that might be a graphic designer and a blog writer and then a blog editor and a webmaster and all these different people. Well, I have found that if you don't talk and don't, communicate often enough, you're all have a different idea of what needs to get done. And so that's where, teams and teamwork, agile teams is just really good to have that, to have that mindset, to understand what somebody else is working on, to be really transparent and just to really meet up and say, hey, I have a piece here that could fit in there. For example, I do a lot of organic posts. Sometimes the posts that I create and images I create are going to be great for a Facebook ad campaign. I'm not running the ad campaigns, but I need to be sharing that with my team and they need to see what I'm creating because they could probably repurpose that. Now, if I kept it to myself and stayed in my lane, they wouldn't know it until they would see it. But if I shared, this is what I'm working on, I'm creating a bunch of quotes. Is there anything you need? What would be on it? Here's the file. Can I update it for you? And then boom, they're ready to run their campaigns, which is a lot faster because now the content's already created. So it's that, mindset of everybody together working for the greater.
So how do you, what are some of the tools? And I know you mentioned Plannable. I know we use like ClickUp and Google Drive and all that, but I guess it doesn't always have to be about the tool, but how do you suggest
culture
people stay in contact, especially if they're working with, maybe potentially a freelancer or something? What do you see as best practices to communication, especially as teams are working more remote today?
Okay, so it's not about the tools, but you got to pick a tool, right? I work with Notion, Monday, Slack, Airtable. It depends on what team I'm on, right? And again, I'm being agile. If I join a team and they already have a system set up, I'm happy to join their system. If I get to be the choice, my next big client, I know what tools I want to use, which includes Notion, Airtable, Plannable, some of those to lay out the content. We do use Google Docs all the time, but so what you need is a really good system of communication. So you need to have those daily check-ins. You need to have a system where you go in and it flows, and you need to set limits of what everybody can handle, right? So if you have 5 people on a team and everybody only works 8 hours a day, you can't put too many things in their slots because they're going to get overwhelmed. They're not going to get it done. So you really want to put limits on what people can work on at the same time. And usually it's about 3 things a day. So I think that's really important, and to kind of keep an eye on that. If somebody keeps finishing everything by noon, maybe you need to extend those limits a little bit. But maybe when they're done at noon, they can check in on you, what you're doing. And so it kind of depends on how you set it up. You need somebody who's understanding Agile, has an Agile mindset, maybe has some background in implementing, being a project manager, which would be good, or a scrum master, somebody who can set this system up for you, teach everybody how it works, because that's what I ran into. I took the class and learned the theory, but implementing it was a little bit harder, and figuring that out. And of course, right now, Agile marketing is mainly used for large teams. So I was trying to figure out how to use it for a small team. But I think just getting started with some of those tools will help you understand how quickly you can move through. But you can use all those tools. If you don't talk to your team, it's still not going to matter, because it can be that they don't look at the tool, right? You can put all the tasks in there, but if they're MIA
because
and
they're not trained on it,
they're not trained on it,
or people aren't using it. Yeah.
Right. They're not, if they don't start their morning by retrospect and looking, what did I do yesterday? What am I going to do today? What worked and what didn't? Then that's not going to be agile.
And
then
that takes, like you said, like hiring someone potentially, if you're not good with that, like that is key. We hired Yvonne. She's amazing, but I knew what I wanted. I wanted a project management system or time reporting, like you said, to see who's working on what and kind of what's in their workload. And we know we wanted the automations, and I wanted everything to flow, right? Like I didn't want this start, stop. And so when we did, I know I would need ClickUp sounded like the thing. And we wanted, AI time reporting, so people didn't have to track their time, I would just automatically track it for them. And some of those automations in there, I knew what I wanted, but when I went to set it up, my brain's like, nope. Like I can't, I'm out. Right. So I didn't want to janky and not work. So people didn't want to use it. So hiring someone was key to implement then what your system you want, because there's no one perfect tool. I don't believe for everything that you want. You might have to work some tools together, and it does take someone that has that mindset or the expertise, because some of these tools are tricky. But once we did that, holy crap, like our process moved even smoother, I would say, than working in separate systems, even when we were in the office.
Yeah, because then you're really in those silos, then you're really not communicating. And by doing this, everything is talking. And I mean, I saved a bunch of time. I'm sure you did too, and you figured out where you can improve. It was just we did in our class, I've shared this before. This is a short story. It was really funny. We did an exercise where it kind of showed how iterative changes made like a big impact, right? So we were giving a task of 4 people in a team in our workshop, and we were giving a task to cut out Easter eggs. So one person could cut, one could color, one could count. And so we're all sitting there. In the first 2 minutes, we cut out like 12 Easter eggs. And then we had 2 minutes to talk about what we did, what went right and what went wrong. And so I realized I'm a much faster cutter than the person who had the scissors. So I'm like, give me the scissors. Somebody else said, hey, we only need to use 2 colors. I'm a fast colorer. Somebody else goes, hey, I can color. Somebody else noticed that if all the Easter eggs were the same size, put them on top of each other, and we could cut out 2 or 3 at a time. By the end, the 5th iteration, in 2 minutes, we cut out 132 Easter eggs. Oof. It blew my mind, because the process and what you can accomplish together as a team was 4 people, just how we could improve that process, which I looked at it and go, yeah, we can do 12, we can do 15, maybe we'll get to 30. 132 in 2 minutes. It was mind-blowing. That's what Agile can do for you once you figure out your systems, and then talk about what's working and what's not, and improve and put people in the right spot for the right skill. That's really what it is.
Right spot, right skill. I mean, Jessika, when you said hiring, you were talking about kind of hiring someone to kind of put the system in place. Yeah. And my mind went to kind of hiring in general. You got to have the right people on the bus.
Oh, amen.
If you're going to do this, just because of what you said. I mean, because there's that if someone's guarded, or doesn't like someone say, that's
takes offense.
I've got the scissors, and they want to hang on to the scissors. There's a problem, right? And so it's there's the mindset, the agile. There's a kind of like that process, but behind that, there's a culture that has to be there with the hiring, and yeah, who you got on the
The
team.
goal has to be to have the best deliverable possible,
Yeah.
Right.
no matter who's doing it, right?
Right.
Like, I
And
love
the
that you
people buying into that.
yeah,
Yeah.
sharing, like you had mentioned, sharing overall, like, here's what we're trying to accomplish at the beginning, and sharing the
Mhm.
goal, not just the individual task, but, hey, here's the outcome that we're wanting.
Mhm.
So we need to work as a team, right, to win that outcome.
Right.
I
Right.
love that you said that. Oh my gosh, this time's going so fast. I wanna make sure we had a question on LinkedIn, and this is April Jackson. April, I love that you're, engaged in here and you asked this question on LinkedIn. Great point, Mike, with the culture, though. Like, don't wanna overlook that because nothing's gonna work if you don't have the right team in there,
Mhm.
right? It's about the technique, not the tools, as we mentioned, and it has to have the passion and the team there too, to do that. And this goes to your question then, April. You had mentioned this on LinkedIn before we got started. She says, when a whole company shifts to an agile mindset, the people within marketing slash change management are the end users of the content from within the company. When the operational groups are agile and the work shifts, do you find it leading more to last minute changes for marketing to keep up with the agile of the company?
Well, that's, you know, you should expect in marketing last minute changes. That should not be a surprise. You can create all the evergreen content you want, and you can create a content calendar you want. Somebody might come up and say tomorrow, we've got a new product. We want you to put a campaign together. Who hasn't gotten a last minute call from a client? I've got to send out a newsletter next week for, the holidays, even though we told them in August to get ready for that campaign, right? So you have to have that understanding of what's going on. But yes, marketing would implement some of those changes. But if everybody has the agile mindset, it doesn't feel like it falls onto marketing because everybody would be part of the operational system. And that includes, like, HR would be agile. Any of the other groups, it would be leadership would be agile, right? Leadership would be in meetings, and instead of telling people what to do, they would ask questions and listen, right? It's all about listening to people, giving people a voice, letting their voice be heard, and then using what you learn from them to implement and improve the process again. So if it's not from the
Mm,
top down, it doesn't really work, because you can be agile in your marketing department, but if they're not
yeah.
willing to be agile on top, that doesn't work. And that includes everybody. That includes the CEO and all the other leadership people. So once that culture is there, and once everybody understands it and has that agile mindset, I don't think it feels like it falls on them. It feels like they're just going to be able to do a better job in their marketing, really. And
Mhm.
I don't see in the question that April asked, but I know that you guys talk about this too, but sales and marketing really need to work together. And by using agile
Mhm.
and agile
Yeah.
methodology and a mindset, that's really a great way to put together that sales and
Yeah.
marketing, and then know about your revenue, because that's
Yeah.
really where a lot of that, we talk about revenue teams, where a lot of people are missing the boat, right?
It has to blend together.
It has to blend together, but a
Mhm.
lot of people don't. They have the marketing department. We want you to run this
Mhm.
campaign. We have sales. We want you to sell this product. And then we have revenue. Oh, we need to make more money. And if they're
Because they
not
look at
talk,
Mhm. Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned HR too, because even with working within, like, everybody has to be tapped in. And we talk about this, like you mentioned, like, starting from the inside out. Because if the care isn't there, and people aren't looking out for the best interest of their teammates and the end product, then it doesn't work, because there is this level of care. Like you mentioned with HR, there's been many times where we've seen people where they're having a rough day, and it's like, no, you go take a break. We got this, because we know,
Mm.
one, we need our teammate okay, and two, nothing's going to be produced good when there's stress poured on
Yay.
somebody just to get out something, right? Like, it's so much better when you know that you're not working against each other. Like, when's marketing going to get me these leads? And marketing saying, why isn't sales closing when I'm sending them, right? Instead, it's like, hey, how can we work better together?
Right.
You have this synergy then, when you feel like people aren't against you. We're all working together and truly do care and have each other's back. That's what will enhance, I think, even more people, like you said, stepping up to offer up help versus being told they need to work on something.
Right. And I think that's what Mike was, referring to when he said
Yeah.
company culture. And that's something that can only be shown from the top down, I feel. You within your small team, even if you have a small marketing team in a large company, you can implement some of that. But if it doesn't come from the top down, it's really hard to sustain that. But if from the top down leadership says that and says, hands down, if you need to take a mental health day or if you need to be with your kids, we want that to be the most important thing. I can tell you, people are going to work so hard for you. So, and that, Jessika, you have a wonderful team, and that's just something that is, the it's there's so many people in that rat race right now, and there's so many people underappreciated. As a community manager for a large group of social media professionals, I hear people and I hear them and I feel so bad. They're in situations where they're overworked and underappreciated, and they're working in these silos and they're doing this job. I worked 5 hours on this and then the client didn't like it and now they don't want to pay me. And, it's just, it doesn't have to be that way. And that's kind of what the message that I'm bringing forth with Agile Marketing and Agile Mindset. It doesn't have to be that way. And it doesn't have to be lonely. Even as a freelancer, it doesn't have to be that way. Surround yourself, because your client can be part of your team. You can implement this, right, with your clients, and you can make this an agile process when you meet with your client, when you create content for your client, and you're going to have a better client relationship. They're going to love you. You're going to get stuff done faster, and you maybe get access to other people on their team, somebody in their company who might be able to take those videos that you really want or get those pictures that you've been asking for, because you're including everybody and, building them up instead of pushing them down, really saying, yes, we can do it together.
Yes.
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff.
I love you said there's a better way. Amen. I'm like, amen. I had to mute myself because I'm like, amen, amen, amen. Like, oh my gosh, this time flies. We could talk about this forever. You guys, seriously, this is the way, whether you want to call it agile marketing, whether you just want to call it being good people, doing good business that feels good, that treats people good, whatever you want to call it. But it is what works. It is what works, starting from the inside out. I mean, this is another way of presenting this to you, something that we preach definitely here in Magnet Marketers. I know Mike's all about, and our guests here are all about. But type the word recap if you want this recap into your inbox. It'll generate a message response. So you make sure you get the blog recap with this, with links to more information, also ways of connecting. And so you can amplify this and implement this into your business. So thankful for having you on this week. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I think we could go for hours more. I want to definitely have you back and share even more examples of this, because you're always aligned with what's working so much. So before we wrap up today, any final thoughts, or where can people find out more about you?
Okay, so I'm everywhere on the internet as Morin Media, and you'll recognize me with those orange glasses. Proudly Dutch, born and raised in the Netherlands. But I also started an Agile Marketing Network, so you can look for that, agilemarketingnetwork.com. We have a Facebook group, a community where you can join, where we're sharing. Oh, thank you, Julia. That's awesome. Join us in the community, ask questions. The Agile Marketing Network was really set up for people like me that work on small teams of 1 or 2, because there's a lot of information out there for larger teams, agencies, but not for the smaller teams. So it's a team of 4 of us that are a part of the Agile Marketing Network. And so we're sharing our trials and errors, right? As we're trying to figure this out and as we're using this within our own businesses, and would love for you to join. So look for Agile Marketing Network. There should be all kinds of links online. Join the Facebook group. And then just connect with me on LinkedIn. That's really the place where I have found conversations are happening. If you have questions about Agile Marketing, organic social media, anything, I'd love for you to connect with me there.
I love that. One thing that you just said though, sharing your trials and, the weaknesses or things that happen. It's not even weakness, it's just challenges that come up, right? Like that's key too. I feel like once people believe that they can trust each other and share that, that is huge. Definitely, definitely, definitely connect with Doreen online. And Julia's spot on. Been one of her favorite guests on the show. So that says a lot. You are awesome. Mike, any last thoughts as well before we close it out?
We all got to go check out that Facebook group there. I think
Yeah,
that's the next step.
sure.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, I want to say something else though. This is really
Yeah,
fun.
go ahead.
Once you get the agile mindset, guys, you can apply it to
Mhm,
anything. I applied it
mhm,
to packing when I went to the Netherlands recently to visit my family. You can apply it to family meals, Thanksgiving dinner. Think about if you, instead of being responsible for the meal by yourself, including the prep and the serving and afterwards, create, and I use sticky notes for everything, but all the tasks, break them up in little tasks. Cut the carrots, wash the carrots, peel the carrots, including, set the table, get the napkins, and then the cleanup. And then when people come in the kitchen and say, what can I do to help? Say, take a sticky note, put them all on your kitchen cabinets. And everybody takes, when you say take a sticky note, that's your task. When it's done, go get a new one. It is amazing. I have 4 kids when they're all home and they kind of want to help, but maybe not. And the kitchen's not very big. I put this into process and they loved it because some people liked to help afterwards. Some people like to help prep. Some people like to set the table, but they took responsibility and it makes that project theirs. So you
mhm,
can put it, training for a marathon, Mike, you can use the agile process if
mhm.
you work in a team, but anywhere in your life, you can use this for
It's great.
parenting, guys. It's amazing.
I'm about to try it after this because I got to make dinner when we're done. But I'm telling you, studying psychology before I went into marketing, which is all kind of the same thing, asking somebody to do something for you actually allows them to feel more valued and more connected to you. So don't be afraid to ask. I used to be afraid to ask somebody to do things. So like, I do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I don't want to bother you. But when you ask somebody to help you out, it actually does build a better rapport with them.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you're asking them to do, I guess, too. Don't ask, Anyway, you'll figure it out. And,
Yes.
and it goes on. So thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank all of you for tuning in with
Thank
us
you.
this week. We'll be back here next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Bye, everyone.
Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.